Tabletopped will start after the following messages.
Are you looking for something comfortable to wear and keep your brain warm while playing tabletop games? Daily Dose of Yarn makes handmade, customized beanies for all of your style and comfort needs. She can even help you with a custom beanie to represent your favorite character. Check out Daily Dose of Yarn on Instagram and Etsy to order your new favorite beanie today.
Amidst the wreckage and recovery from war, a new secret war begins in the alleys, docks, gambling pits, and sewers of Aratai. A war of assassins, smugglers, crime lords for the underbelly of the city. Caught in this struggle, a bounty hunter and a thief for hire find themselves entrusted with the protection and life of a very special child. This is a story from the shadows of Aratai. Premieres November 12th on Dice Legends.
Oh, hey there, how you doing?
Yard, you be searching for a D&D play podcast?
Join us as we sail across the high seas.
It be a heroine horror campaign inspired by piracy and Lovecraftian tales.
To Whom the Sea Belongs is the first campaign of the Kaleidosphere podcast.
Yes, that's kale, like the vegetable. IDO, sphere, wherever podcasts are found, yes.
Welcome back, everyone, to another episode of Tabletopped. Your host, Nick, here. Today, we are talking about Curse of Strahd. We're going to review this module top to bottom, so enjoy that. I also wanted to let you in on a little secret that this Halloween, yes, the 31st, we are releasing an episode with special guest Emily Zarka, the creator and host of Monstrum. I hope that you guys listen to it. It is so cool. She is a PhD in monsters, basically, and we sit down to talk about the history of monsters, why people think about and create monsters in their storytelling, and how to use them in our games. All right, everyone, I hope you enjoy this special episode where we talk about Curse of Strahd. Welcome, everyone. It is almost Halloween, and so we are going to talk about maybe the most popular module in D&D right now, especially when it comes to the scares, and that is the one, the only Curse of Strahd. Now, I've actually never played it. I've also never ran it, so I brought together the finest group of Strahdians I could find. Who's at the table with me today?
Hi, I'm Shade. I have no jokes today.
Hi, I'm... Thank God.
Well, fuck you too.
Thanks, Strahd. Yeah, it's me, Franco. What's good? I've only played Curse of Strahd. Wait, yeah.
Yeah.
You've run it and played it.
A little bit, yeah.
Yeah.
I'm Daniel at Coronor. I've run and played Curse of Strahd, so I'm the expert. Nice. I win.
So for Daniel and Shade, can you run me through like what?
Bye. I'll see you later.
Bye, Franco. What is it like to run this campaign? It's in Barovia, one of the domains of Dread, correct?
Yeah.
Yes.
And you are essentially running people who have been sucked into this demiplane, and they are stuck there until they defeat Strahd.
Yeah. So basically, the setup is Strahd occasionally gets bored and is kind of looking for a successor to his throne, and will pull adventurers in from other planes and then toy with them to see if they have what it takes. Ultimately, of course, deciding that they don't, and then trying to kill them while they're trapped in his domain.
Spoiler alert.
Spoilers!
Spoiler alerts for this whole talk.
So,
no players would listen to this.
Yeah. I mean, to be fair, it did this is a module. Well, the concept has been around since the 80s, and the 5th edition version was released in March of 2016. So you had a hot minute to play this.
6 years, that's enough.
But correct me if I'm wrong. There are other motivations that he can have. Like, it's not always that he wants a successor, right? I think or am I mistaken?
I mean, he does what he wants.
Yeah.
He can play it any way. It's a game where you can kind of create your own
Shade,
scenarios.
so I should have mentioned this is for D&D, which is a TTRPG where you kind of make things up in your brain, and then together
you can use
tell
your
a story.
imagination.
We're not talking about the real Strahd?
No. That's another time.
Oh, fuck. Bye, guys.
Okay, see you, Shade.
Anyway, no, I like you said, you could do anything with it, but I think that they do have, if I recall correctly, in the module, they provide a few, like, these are motivations for Strahd that you can run through, but for our game, I do recall he was.
Yeah, and other people can get pulled in for a variety of reasons. Like, the Mist are kind of like their own living organism, too. So, so Strahd might be pulling you in, you might just got, like, tricked in, or you might have just wandered in on your own. So lots of ways to get your party into Barovia, but that's usually, if Strahd's doing it, that's usually the reason why.
Yeah.
So when you open this book, does it assume that people are not in Barovia and give you a way to pull folks in so that you can add it to a campaign? Or is it just sort of like level 1, draw 'em in, you're here now, this is the beginning of a campaign?
It does assume that you're not starting out there, but you could start out there. It's one of the cool things. So the Domains of Dread or Ravenloft are all these mists that are under the ultimate control of the Dark Powers, and then the Dreadlords for each domain, Barovia being one of them. So these are setting agnostic. There are, in Van Richten's book, there are, they have a great list of domains. There's one that's a ghost train, and it's from Eberron. There's another one that's clearly from the Forgotten Realms, so it is supposed to be setting agnostic.
Yeah, there's lots of different places your players could go to get the sort of same feel. Doesn't have to be Strahd or Barovia.
So, Franco, as a player who was sort of drawn into this horrible hell realm,
who was tricked into playing Curse of Strahd?
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. We were just playing cards at a table, and then suddenly somebody's dog got lost in the mist or some shit. Daughter. I was like, why?
Why did I care about a dog?
Why would I give a shit about a dog?
There were werewolves that we were.
Yeah. We were like, oh, I'm gonna go into the mist now, and then there's like a house, and then these two kids were like, hey, can you help us? Some bullshit or whatever in the house, and then you like go in the house, and then like there's like a bunch of monsters and shit, and there's like a ghost, and then the ghost touches you, and then you die, and you become a ghost because Danny feels bad that he killed you right away. And then you play through Death House as a ghost, and then you disappear, and then you get replaced by your sister. That's Curse of Strahd.
Yeah, basically.
Very succinct.
So to touch on that. If you're starting at a low level, like it kind of warns you that the module is very like death heavy.
It's a rough and tumble world.
It's rough and tumble, but Death House is supposed to get you up to like level 3 or 4,
or dead, level dead,
level dead,
or level dead if you're Franco's character. Just sort of like it was a great introduction. People knew what they were expecting, and they played the rest of the campaign appropriately afraid of things that were out in the dark.
So the book does a really great job of just kind of providing first the setting. What is Ravenloft? What is Barovia? And it also provides some general details on Strahd, his motivations, his history, as well as some major players that your characters are going to run into.
Actually, that's a great, because I am Strahd sort of. The only character I know in Curse of Strahd is Strahd. So, like, what is the stuff that you deal with? I've heard of Ghost House, which apparently just kills everybody.
It's called Death House?
Death House, I'm so sorry.
So, like Shade was saying, it's like from the 80s, and it deals with like a lot of like your classic gothic monsters. There's werewolves out and about, hags, ghosts. One of like the random encounters as you walk through is a skeletal rider.
Yeah.
And then there's
He's
sort of other
fucking rocks.
He's the best of them.
Well,
Yeah.
it's really funny because like I think you rolled that random encounter like twice, but literally all he does is just ride by and go like, I want to leave Barovia. I'm a skeleton.
I want to get the fuck out of here.
Bye. It's just
I rolled him 4 times in that campaign, and I just I didn't know what to do with him, so I just kept having him more and more confused about how lost he was trying to get out of this country.
That's amazing.
My best friend in that campaign.
Yeah,
should have had him like just like be like walking with his horse, and he's just like looking at a map, and he's like, "What the fuck's going on?" It's like,
There's actually a very funny Red Dead Redemption 1 plot of a guy who's like looking at a map. He's trying to find gold, and so he's like following this map that he got. And,
he walks off the edge.
Yeah, and he just like continually like you find him in random spots, and he's like, I don't know, I think I'm on the right path, and then eventually you just find like a pile of bones with that map in it. It reminds me of that. Sorry, that was a weird transit.
I hope he found his gold.
He did not.
Nope.
But yeah, so it provides each chapter. So it has a great intro on what Ravenloft is, how magic works in the Dread domains, right at the gate, and Strahd and all the motivations there. And then it also has a nice amount of information for each of the areas that you visit. Yeah, Franco.
Hey, Shade. I have
Hey.
a question. I noticed you've been using the terms like Ravenloft and Barovia a lot.
What the fuck are those?
Yeah.
The castle's called Ravenloft,
So-
right? But also the demiplane is called or something.
So-
And then there's also the village of Barovia and the
Yeah.
and the country of Barovia.
Yeah, sorry about that. That's a very good point. So Barovia encapsulates this dread domain, as well as the village of Barovia. Ravenloft is the dread domains. It's the collective name for them. And then there is also Castle Ravenloft, which is Strahd's castle.
That's not confusing.
Yeah, Strahd isn't very original.
No.
I like I feel like in fantasy a lot of times like a country will be named after a town, and that never happens in real life.
Yeah.
Like I feel like it happens all the time in fantasy, and I've done it all the time. And I just feel like actually almost no countries are named after cities.
Can
There's
I
like
tell you-
4
Wouldn't it been
countries.
the other way around.
Yeah, can I tell you that in Maine, so there's, civilized Maine, which is like all of the
Wow. Whoa, let's retake that one.
I'm from Maine, okay? So there's the population centers with more than 5 people in them, essentially, is what I mean.
Uh-huh.
And then as you go further out into like the logging villages and stuff, they just stopped being original for names. So we have like a China Maine, we have a Norway Maine, we have a Hawaii 2.
Hawaii too?
Yeah.
Hawaii 2 is pretty cool.
Electric Boogaloo.
Yeah, exactly.
Well, there's a beach in Salem called Waikiki Beach.
Nice.
Because the soldiers came back and they were like, yeah, it reminds us of Waikiki.
Huh.
It's like, yeah,
Okay.
I don't think so.
Yeah, so I'm just saying that there is a precedent in Maine, at least, for the Strahd naming scheme.
I don't. That's the opposite.
Well, guess what, Franco? I got
opposite of
confused.
But yeah, the book does a really great job of laying this all out, and we've already, you may have listened to it already, folks, but we had a sandbox episode. This is a really great sandbox module. It does a great job of putting out all the various toys in your sandbox, of giving you the box and saying, okay, go play with them. Here are some goals.
Yeah, a lot of the stuff that runs off in the background is there's the random encounter tables. That's like per, I think, 3 miles or smaller than that because it's I think they're quarter-mile hexes, and then however like many 30 minutes it takes to go through them, you roll for an encounter every time.
Yeah.
Which means traveling across Barovia is going to be dangerous no matter like how quickly you can do it. You're always going to run into something.
So they've actually put into the mechanics of the game, like, this place sucks to be in.
Yeah,
like,
I mean,
every
but
time,
again,
even
it's
moving
not
from-
every encounter
Yeah.
is monsters attack you. A lot of it is you find
Find a jack-o'-lantern.
you find a werewolf's
and it's like,
clothes
hey.
that he had to like discard to transform.
Didn't we find like a bird cage?
Yes.
Yeah,
Some
we
shit?
found there's trinkets and stuff like that. I think you found a bird cage with dead birds inside of it.
Yeah, that was upsetting.
What a vibe.
Yeah, that's another thing. Speaking of upsetting, this book also does a great job of talking about the vibe, talking about bringing horror into your campaign. And it has a lot
Super
of
goth.
great oppressive goth things about it. Yeah.
So when you guys were running it, what did you take from the module and bring into it to like create that atmosphere? And then maybe Franco, you can comment on how that felt from a player side.
Yeah, I'll let you know how I felt about it.
Yeah, so a lot of what the book does is just tells you where people are, and then it's up to you to decide how they interact with the party or if they're there at that time. Because again, it's supposed to be like a living, breathing world. So maybe you run into the town of Barovia or Valaki, and the people that you want to interact with just aren't there at that time. So you kind of can play with that a little bit. But then a lot of them, they give you the motivations. I think one of them, again, hashtag spoiler alert, tells you that there's a woman who runs a cult out of her basement. And so she's trying to convince the party to come to
join
dinner.
the cult?
Not to join the cult, but to sacrifice them for the cult's purposes and to sort of elevate her status under Strahd's eyes.
Yeah, she was like, come to dinner. And I was like, I'm busy.
Wait, is this the person that you guys put off seeing for like the entire campaign?
Yeah, I don't think we ever had dinner with her. I was just like,
we went to the dinner party and we then goofed, is this an orgy? Because it had this weird vibe where they all got robes and masks all of a sudden, and
eyes wide shut.
Yeah, very eyes wide shut.
Yeah. So again, your players aren't gonna hit all of the hooks.
So sometimes your players are just gonna dodge out of the way.
Yeah, we did completely avoid the Amber Temple.
Yeah,
and
not completely avoided it. You guys went in, did one room, was like, fuck this.
That, yeah.
Turned around and just left. We don't need to know what's happening there.
Yeah.
We're done.
I felt a little bad, but I was, because like you told me like, oh yeah, I've been prepping for the Amber Pen Temple because you guys decided to go in there, and like, yeah, we'll go in, and then it's just like, no,
man, yeah, it's
Not
a
today.
rough area though.
So I guess I want to ask, because Shade, you also have been a player in this book, and I remember you saying like you brought in a character because it was a 1 to 20 campaign that you were like really excited about playing, but also really didn't want to die. And then when you went into Barovia, that you were like, fuck this place, fuck.
Yeah.
So both you and Franco, like, how did that change how you play D&D when you're in a place like this where it's very lethal?
Well, so the thing is, I asked Danny to run Curse of Strahd, and then I forgot that I asked him. And then he was like, okay, I'm gonna, and then when we suddenly were in Barovia, I was like, what the fuck, we're in Barovia? And then everyone else was also like, what the fuck's going on? Like, we didn't sign up for this, you lied to us. Which was really funny because I just like hoisted myself by my own Strahd.
If you have a close-knit friend group and you can pull that off, like Daniel knew he could, highly recommend it.
Daniel didn't know he could. He just sort of did it.
Okay, well, I'm going to put some good faith on you here.
He just he grabbed himself by his Strahds and lifted himself up.
Yeah, because I mean, I had read the book. I had actually played through Curse of Strahd already. I was very familiar with it, and the minute that Mist started to roll in, I will forever remember looking at you and going, "You're fucking kidding me, right?" Because it hadn't been announced yet, and I was like, "Do I know who Strahd is?"
Yeah, so we had just finished the first campaign where like we all met and had started playing D&D together.
Yeah.
And so I just needed a campaign 2, and I really didn't have time to write one, so I just grabbed a module and I was like, yeah, I'll just do this. It didn't occur to me to warn anyone or to talk about it. I was just like, yeah, I'll just jump into this and we'll start it. And then it was like, surprise.
Yeah, I mean, it was a great surprise because, like, I as I've said before, when I'm playing D&D, I tend to be a big damn hero, and I'm just gonna, it's gonna be fine. It's gonna be fine. This was actually a campaign knowing a little bit about Barovia, a little bit about the Domains of Dread. My character made some darker choices than I think. Like I pulled a sword on a kid once because I was positive that kid had something we needed. I say kid, teen, but that doesn't really make it better. Yeah, and I was just like, I need to get this thing so we can get to the next.
Give me that candy, kid.
give me the key that gets me out of this bad situation.
I think did we take that kid on like an adventure with us and he died?
Eventually. He became our sidekick.
For like a bit.
Milo, we called him.
Yeah. There was another so our Google Calendar invite kept like we called it after my character died. I renamed the campaign to the Alcindra Devil's Grace Memorial Campaign, and then every time somebody died, we added another character name to.
I think there were like 7 or 8 names on the list before that campaign was over.
Only 2 player characters.
Only 2 players. Yeah, after Death House, you guys just stopped doing anything that might result in HP loss. But the NPCs got wrecked.
Yeah, it wasn't great.
So you felt that like as players, you were like, I feel fear, I'm not gonna survive if I play this like other modules.
That's why I picked the Hexblade, because it's broken.
Yep.
Yeah, one of my favorite sort of like it can't be planned for, but the circumstances just sort of gave it to us. Again, watch out, #spoilers. In Barovia, there's one of the hags. There's like a coven of hags that are like giving out these treats to Barovian children.
Moon pies, I think.
The dream pies or something like that. And you can follow them out to this windmill, and you can save these 2 children and fight these hags.
Did we save
the
kids?
You maybe. So they did all this, but the hag that has a stone can ethereal step and get away. And they begin encountering this hag in different places, various times, and they didn't know about the stone or the ability, so she just kept getting away and kept ambushing them at later times. And that was one of the greatest things, because I think they were more afraid of her campaign-wise than they ever were of Strahd.
We did end up killing her, right?
Yeah.
I was a ranger, and I could kind of like see her steps or something.
I think we like cornered her in like a cave or something like that, maybe. Yeah, that was very satisfying. And I think at that point we were definitely like way more powerful than a night hag.
Yeah, we had definitely kind of done every side quest we could and had leveled up quite a lot. I think, Daniel, one of the things that like I was still afraid of Strahd. I really was, because he's terrifying. But you had made him an absence in many regards. Like he was always off in the distance. He didn't really antagonize us much, but she did. And I think that's why we were kind of like more worried, because she was actually, for Strahd, we were fleas, not worth bothering about. It wasn't until we stormed his castle that it was like, oh shit. And then when we got scattered, like I 1v1 Strahd for a hot second, and that was fucking terrifying. I was sure we were going to die in that moment.
Man, I wish I could have 1v1 Strahd. I would have fucked him up.
I'll patch this out. Like I think like one of the highlights of that campaign, and again, like let your players do what they want. They actually rallied forces from each of the 3 villages and actually did the mob goes to the castle, Ravenloft, to deal with the threat. And that's when we stopped adding names to the memorial list, because the mob like obviously got wiped out pretty fast.
They were a distraction.
But it was a great scene of like leading all of the Barovians to like deal with Strahd.
Well, actually, can we talk about that for a second? So the NPCs in it that are not antagonistic, so the villagers, all that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
How do you run those? And like Franco, how did you find yourself interacting with those kinds of people in this weird demi-plane? Because it feels like kind of weird that there are just normal people in the...
Yeah, so a bit of lore is, I think when Barovia was created, there's like 3,000 people that got trapped, and they just keep getting reincarnated. But...
so sad.
But when the population expands beyond 3,000, people are just born without souls.
Yep.
And so they're dreary, they're colorless, they're mirthless, but they exist really to fill up Strahd's idea of his kingdom.
It's such a weird thing. Like I don't know how I feel about it. Like I feel like it's like is that like good? Like is that just like kind of is that stupid?
I mean, I like it because so the Domains of Dread are, like you said, it's his idea of his kingdom. And these are all about, they are like the personal hell of some horrible person, in this case Strahd. And their personal hell is also, it's like a heaven that they can't make a reality. Right. And so I really enjoy that, like the idea of people being born without souls and being absolutely without joy, it's perfect. It also sets a really cool kind of like set dressing.
But for those 3,000 with souls, a lot of them make up the NPCs that you'll interact with. And they are the ones that sort of keep hope alive. So when you're playing them, they might be like weary and sort of like, weather beaten, but they still want good things to happen. They're still trying to make the world a better place. Yeah. They can't, which is sort of like the tragic irony of running Curse of Strahd. But you got to play them with the sense of course they want to help the heroes because
this is their chance.
This is it. This is their one shot. And Shade, you might have to help me with some names, but like in the first town, there's a priest. Or the second town. Sorry, not the priest in the first town is not very helpful.
Well, it's a sandbox. It's not first.
Well, I mean, Barovia versus Vallaki.
Right. Yeah. So in Vallaki, there's a priest and sort of a reincarnation of a powerful saint who I role-played as a very young child. Yeah. So they're there, and they offer the players respite in a place like the Holy Grounds. Like, you rest here. Strahd can't touch you here in this one town in the 60 miles of Barovia. If you're resting here, you're good for a time. So that was interesting to put in there. There was a couple of other people that were just doing their best, like the burgomaster of Kresik.
Yeah, Kresik. Mm-hmm.
There's a lot of good people there, but then there's also monk priest who's kind of lost his mind being trapped in Barovia. So he wants to do really good things, but
that guy's awesome.
Yeah, to steal a line from Peacemaker. He believes in peace so much he's willing to kill every man, woman, and child in Barovia to get it.
Absolutely.
So, like, bringing the NPCs to life, you kind of want to balance that whole... They're hopeful, they want to help, but they've been warped by this reality, and so they might do really bad things for good reasons.
Yeah. What does it mean to not have a soul? Like, what happens if those people leave Barovia somehow?
They fade, they disappear, they don't exist outside of Barovia.
Yeah, that's wild.
So it's almost like they're kind of dreams, right? They're just like not real.
That's kind of interesting.
You could make it something else, but
I will.
I mean, but like
people deserve to laugh.
I mean, maybe. Gosh, sorry, this is an entirely different thing, but maybe Barovia's mists fade away and they can escape for a minute. And the big new adventure for some of these people is finding life, and in finding life, they're finding a soul. But that's a new hell.
I mean,
who knows where that soul's gonna go?
To cross over, in Buffy the Vampire Slayer, Spike goes to hell and wins a soul from being tortured and beaten by demons.
Whose soul is it?
It's his soul. He gets it back.
Must be nice.
But in such like a fantasy setting, maybe a quest is going to the Soul Forge and getting unborn souls to reside in these villagers.
Well, you want me to go to the soul store and just like
pay for all these souls?
Like buy a soul?
What am I, a millionaire?
In this economy,
Jesus.
Jeez.
Franco is notoriously like hook avoidant. He will not take any bait.
So one of the things that we didn't really talk about, but one of my favorite things about the Curse of Strahd module are the tarot cards. So at the beginning, there are these traveling people, the Vistani, who the book has been reworked a little bit because there were some
racist tropes.
Racist tropes. Just hardcore racist tropes. Yeah. I was trying to think of a funny way to say it, but there's really no funny way to say it, just racist bullshit.
Why? Because was it like Romani sort of?
Yeah, the Romani gypsy culture.
Correct. So they have kind of reworked that, but there's a fortune teller, and she will tell you a fortune with tarot cards. With the original set, I believe tarot cards could be bought with it, and you can now get it in the repackaged set and all that. And these tarot cards determine where the items of power that you need to actually destroy Strahd are.
So it's different each time you play.
Mm-hmm.
So Curse of Strahd is the roguelike module of D&D.
Well, and but it is though, because spoiler, Strahd will die. Guess what? The dark powers that handle the Dread Domains do not actually let him enjoy death. He comes back. This is his...
Forgot to fill out the right paperwork.
The curse is his curse of being forever, the first vampire, being forever stuck in this situation with nothing ever changing.
Oh, so the Curse of Strahd is Strahd's curse.
Strahd's own curse.
Strahd's been Strahd was the cursed one all along.
What was that?
Real clean take.
Holy shit.
So what happens to the 3,000 people?
So
they can't get out?
There's a moment where the mists go away and they can leave, but many of them, like those who are without souls, don't feel the desire to leave. This is home. Those who have souls, maybe they do go away, but maybe at some point they'll find their way back. Or when they die, if it's like someone that is integral to Strahd's whole deal, maybe their soul is reborn there every time they die. Anyway.
Well, not completely hopelessness. There is a chance to get one of the souls out of Barovia as you play the module.
Yeah.
So people can leave. It takes a lot.
Yeah.
You can do it. And to tell you about the soulless, some of them just choose oblivion.
Yeah.
When the mist part, they just sort of walk out because they're like, not existing is better than this.
Yeah.
So a lot of them, that's not a happy ending, but it's better than nothing. So there's that for them.
It's literally nothing.
It's literally nothing.
This game's a bummer.
Yeah, it is. But I don't know. It's cool though because it can be different each time. So we played through Curse of Strahd. We could legitimately go play through it again, and it still be the same core setting. It could still be your basic home.
Yeah, because the players aren't going to go to every place listed in the module. Like there's a werewolf den, there's the Amber Temple, there's a pass through the mountains that's got some ruins in it. And you don't need to go everywhere because I think once you hit like level 7 or 7 to 9, you could technically go up and deal with Strahd.
Mm-hmm.
My party waited until they were 14.
Hell yeah, we did.
Fuck yeah.
But yeah, so like you could replay it and be like, okay, you've been here in the last campaign, so you can take a different route, see different things, and remember the tarot cards are going to put things in different places, which affects the story in many different ways.
So it's like 1 to 9, and you'll have like a really epic, scary fight. But then level 14, you can just go in for a good spanking and just take Strahd out.
It was still rough.
It was still a challenge.
Really?
Yeah.
Oh,
yeah,
man,
yeah,
that's
totally.
awesome.
Yeah, Strahd's not a
pretty high
pushover.
CR. Yeah.
Yeah.
Which is weird because I feel like it's like the module as it is now is like trying to. It feels like it's just trying to be like, fight him sooner so that it can feel very difficult. But it's like, but there's enough milestones and XP all over this map to get to a point where if we cleared almost everything, because we didn't even clear everything.
No, just about though.
Yeah, almost everything. I think we probably missed like 3
the
locations.
Amber Temple.
Yeah, we definitely missed the Amber Temple, but there was like a couple of maybe like 2 other locations that we didn't go to, and like that'll get you to that point. So I don't know. I don't know how you would adjust it to keep it that level of terrifying, making your level 9 characters fight CR 15 Strahd.
There's the old classic, increase the hit points.
Yeah.
Adds different spell options that your players might not be expecting. Or, give Strahd some allies in that fight. He's got thralls. He's got people that work in the castle. I think a lot of people see, like, the big, bad, evil person at the end of a campaign is going to be one versus the party. It doesn't have to be.
Yeah.
I mean, it could be party versus party, which I've always really enjoyed.
I mean, that's absolutely why I think our fight with Strahd was terrifying, is because we got separated. We got teleported to different places, I think. And not being together, having the Sun Sword be with one person and not with all of us, of course, and then having to take on the various traps, challenges, and monsters that linger in his castle, while also knowing at any moment he himself could pop up. Even though, so one of it's they're called Taroka cards in this, but one of the readings that you get also says like, this is a place that you're guaranteed to find him and be able to fight him to the death. And ours was clearly like in his catacombs, which, I mean, that's the coolest place in my mind to find him. But
in the bathroom.
Yeah, that's right.
Well, he's taking a big dump.
What are you doing? But so yeah, but that doesn't mean that he has to be fought specifically in that location. It's just somewhere we know we can find him.
It's where the party can trigger the encounter if they want to.
Yeah.
But also Strahd can trigger the encounter wherever he feels like.
Whenever, yeah. Shit.
So we've gone into sort of like the basic idea of Strahd, what's in the module. If somebody wants to start running this campaign, and if someone wants to start playing in this campaign, so we're going to kind of do this in steps, what do they need to do? So let's start with the people who have run this campaign. If you're thinking, I want to run a Barovia campaign, like a Curse of Strahd module, what do you need to be thinking about? What do you need to kind of plan for?
Well, you definitely want to find like mysteries and like ways to drop subtle hints about things, and you want to set the mood. You want to make it oppressive, dark, moody, to be redundant, and things like that, and just sort of like let the players know what they're going to be in for.
Okay. What about you, Shay? What do you think?
I think, you want to, obviously, if you're going to play this, you're going to need a copy of Curse of Strahd, but I would go ahead and get a copy of Van Richten's Guide to Ravenloft, just because that adds some more nuggets of wisdom for you.
I also checked out a couple of websites about the most common fears.
Oh, yeah.
Just like the things that most people are afraid of.
You just threw them in?
The big thing, spiders, the dark, closed-in spaces, eyes appearing, things like that.
Huh.
A lot of those things appear in a lot of people's nightmares. So do some research on what induces fear in people.
And then throw it in there.
Throw it in there. Just mix it up.
Throw it into a fear milkshake.
But also be wary of people's X card shit.
Yeah.
Session zero.
Session
everybody.
zero.
Watch out for those red lights.
Green, yellow, red light system works pretty well. Franco, as somebody who played in the campaign, and Shade as somebody who played in the campaign, how would you, if you now knowing everything you know, what do you think a player should do that's entering into this campaign to make the best of it? Do you think that someone should go in like min-maxy and all that kind of stuff to really make it feel like, okay, I have a chance at surviving, this is a scary thing? Do you go in you want to go in blind, you don't want to know anything because this is going to be a wild ride that you're in for? Like, what would you suggest if someone was building a character for this campaign, backstory wise and like, I guess, mechanics wise? What would you recommend?
Okay, so I guess the situation that we were in, obviously we couldn't prepare for it, which I think, again, as we kind of mentioned, like, don't do that to a group that you've never met before. Like, maybe just do that.
Friends.
Like, just do that to your pals as a big fun prank on them. But if you know that you're going to be playing in Curse of Strahd, or you know that it's going to be, they kind of warn you obliquely that it's going to be Curse of Strahd, don't write a lot of backstory. Prepare to die. Take some subclasses out of Xanathar's, I think, is the one with the really strong ones. Don't be like an assassin or a thief or whatever. That's bullshit. Be like a swashbuckler, be like a cleric, be a hexblade, do some good shit. You should totally min-max your character. I feel like when people hear min-max, they're like, oh yeah, you're trying to maximize your whatever. People forget about the min part.
Yeah.
You are min-maxing. Like, you are like super bad. Like, Senfi was super, like, she was not strong at all. Like, if she was gonna climb a cliff, she'd be like, fucking good luck. Casting fly. And wasting one of my 3 precious spell slots. So yeah, like, I think I don't know. You can min-max, I guess, if you want. I mean, I don't know. Like, if you really want to roll it really dirty and, like, insane or whatever, roll all your stats in order, 3d6 only. If you want to be like, yeah, fuck it. Like, I'm going to die in Death House right now.
Or you could do what we did for Tomb of Bill Annihilation, where I was like, you guys can earn yourselves a feat, but you have to go in order and just roll d20s and like take what you got. Take your lumps.
Yeah, rolling 3d6 is a lot better than rolling a d20.
Yeah.
So yeah. Anyway, those are my hot tips for playing in Curse of Strahd.
I mean, there's nothing wrong with min-maxing, and I will come out and say that I absolutely started to go hard edge on, okay, how can I make sure I'm going to survive with this character, because I wasn't anticipating this character to be here. But I think if you know you're going to be playing Curse of Strahd, lean into it. You know, play a character that leans into those tropes of, okay, this is a vampire hunter, or character who maybe was born and raised in Barovia or one of the Dread domains. So kind of lean into that gloomy stuff.
What if it was like a bunch of, like, you played it as like a bunch of teens who just found out that like they could kill, oh, we could beat him, and then they're like, they're just like 14, 15-year-olds, and they're just like, yeah, let's fucking beat up Strahd.
Man, that sounds so fun to me. Like, I would love to.
They're all
have...
like Barovian teens, like,
yes,
just like
absolutely.
going wild.
It's just they've each lost a beloved family member to Strahd at some point, and they're like, enough of this. That would be a fun game.
Dark Tree Hill. That's our pitch for this new CW. We've got shows.
I have a friend.
Contact us.
I have a friend. You've all heard him before. Mac, wonderful DM and player. He's in a game right now which is Barovia, but all of the player characters have based their characters off of Disney princesses.
Ooh.
And so like, and they're all like dark, twisted versions of them in Barovia trying to like kill Strahd and get out. So like he's playing, I think it's like a Snow White character that like, instead of like someone waking her up with a kiss, everyone that she touches, she like drains the life out of. So she's never been able to like, she's never been shown physical love, like a hug or anything from her family or anything.
Rogue.
Yes.
That's what I say. Like a roguelite character in this roguelite module.
And then there's another one who's like Beauty and the Beast, but it's a ranger with like a beast companion, like a real like, yeah. So there's like a lot of like interesting stuff in there.
I'm going to tag this right now. I want to play a Disney princess campaign so bad right now.
Right. Let's go do it.
Let's do it.
Down.
Kids on bikes against Strahd.
Yeah,
kids on bikes against Strahd.
I mean,
new
sounds...
module dropping tomorrow.
Absolutely. But yeah, I think leaning into the trope, working together, like one of my favorite things, even though we didn't know it was going to be Curse of Strahd, was the pre-existing relationship that Franco had with another player, Aaron, for their characters. And so when Franco's character, Alcindra, died, her dressmaker? Is that the Taylor?
Yeah.
Taylor?
Taylor, yeah.
Taylor. I was trying to think of words. Taylor was just beside himself at her death. His muse, his everything. And
yeah, I also made the sister like very not into fashion. Like I replaced her, just like not into fashion, like not into modeling at all.
And you know, that added a little something extra. I mean, you should do that probably for any game. It's always nice to have those shared moments. But I think in a horror-based game, it adds something even more, because the really low points hit much harder and the high points hit much higher.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think I've said this in some other podcasts before, but
you're on other podcasts?
Well, like not other episodes. Sorry.
No, it's okay.
I'm a loyalist.
Stepping out on us.
Having fun. I'm sorry.
But
I'm so sorry. I'm sorry.
No fun on the podcast.
Don't put me back in Barovia.
Now I've lost my train of thought. But yeah, so if you're making a player, you want to give them flaws and fears that you can like exploit for that story. Because remember, if the death comes, you want it to be a good death. You want it to be tragic and sad and hard hitting, because that's kind of the mood of this campaign.
All right,
funny.
Or you could be really funny.
Dying of bad beer.
We don't like to laugh here. We only cry.
So, any final thoughts before we close out Curse of Strahd?
It's more of a blessing, really. Go ahead and play it.
Nice.
Yeah, so I guess buy, borrow, pass. I know we kind of use this as a general idea of like what kind of, you know, sentiment people feel towards the module. Do you suggest people, like, it's amazing, you want it in your library either to run or to play? Do you think it's worth doing, but maybe like save your money, you want to do another thing, borrow from a friend kind of thing, or pass, this is not a great module, you're not missing a whole lot if you miss out on it?
Well, yeah, someone in your group has to have it if you want to play it. But I would definitely say you want Curse of Strahd in your personal experience library.
Yeah.
I would recommend borrowing everything all the time. There's no need to buy
Libraries
anything.
are great.
Yeah, just borrow things. But I feel like you could definitely buy it and not feel like you like. I don't think this would be a regretful buy. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I definitely agree. Buy this book. Also buy Van Richten's to pair with it. And Franco, I do expect you to return that item sometime. I mean,
Fuck.
who borrows a toothbrush, dude? Come on.
All right, y'all. We're going to close that up. Next week, we are having an amazing interview with Monstrum's Emily Zarka. You may have heard of her. She's a monster expert. She teaches university and is just so smart when it comes to using monsters in literature, the history of monsters. So definitely don't miss that. And we will be back on Thursday with a deep dive into the vampire himself. I guess you're going to hear a little bit more about Strahd because we're going to be talking about Strahd. Okay, I'll see you next week. Or I guess this Thursday. Bye!
Thanks for listening to another episode of Tabletop. Please subscribe to the show so you don't miss any future episodes. And if you really like the show, leave us a review on Apple Podcasts. It really helps us get word out about the show. If you want to help do that as well, you can, send it to a friend or a greatest enemy. We don't care. Either one works just the same. If you want to buy some ad space on Tabletop, send us an email at tabletopodcast@gmail.com. And everyone, I will see you on Thursday for another bonus episode of Tabletop.